Welcome back, everybody. We're holding on page Nun Hey. We continue in chapter 40, which is pretty much 2/3 into the chapter, I would say, which the line begins. It's on page Nun Hey. The line begins, it was a Yuvon, which is 246 lines from the bottom of the page. And again, you can see it in the corresponding English text. With this, it's understood. With what? With whatever we learned in this chapter and in the previous chapter. Now, today we really don't have to, even to get into it, we don't have to give a little bit of to recap of the previous week. Certainly not much. And you could always find the previous week's class name. You could find it on this very website. Punch in the Tanya, the word Tanya in the link box, or you could find it at TanyaOnline.com. I just would say that there's something technical. There's some technical problems with the website. It could be by the time you'll hear the shir, it'll be fine, up and running. If not, Be'ez Hashem, by Sunday it should be up and running. So you'll be able to already by then probably see this class as well. And the advantage, it's the same website, same hosts, honorable hosts. But it had the advantage that it has, you could learn it with the text. There's a scroll bar, which you could easily follow the class with the text, as well as the easy access to all the previous classes with the text as well, for that matter. So with this, what we learned up till now, basically the Alter Rebbe is pointing out the importance, the significance of serving Hashem with Ava v'Yira, love and fear, and again the different levels of love and fear of Ava v'Yira Hativis, or it should be his Talumis Libe, the innate, inherent Ava v'Yira. Again, this was all explained and elaborated on in the previous classes. And then the Ava v'Yira should be Zgalos Libe, revealed Ava v'Yira, meaning it's a passionate love, passionate fear, and which this latter elevates the Torah even higher than the innate, inherent Ava v'Yira Yid has. As we learned it again, explained, the more the investment of love, the more the gift or the presentation for the recipient, the receiver of the gift, or whatever your whatever detail or whatever idea is used to enhance the relationship of two parties. The more the sentimental investment, the more and deeper it enters within the receiver. And so too when it comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It goes deeper within HaKadosh Baruch Hu when there is more emotional investment, sentimental investment in the mitzvah. And again, he brings out that, he points out that it doesn't mean, in the end of the day, it is about the Torah mitzvahs that we learn. While the wings, while the Ava v'Yira is called wings, as we're going to go learn, because actually today we're going to, this is the place that Alter Rebbe makes it clear and brings from Zohar how, and again in conjunction with whatever we learned till now, why the Ava v'Yira, the love and fear, would be called the wings. Just like the main thing is the bird itself, the wings just elevate the bird on high, so too the main thing is the Torah mitzvahs. But it's important that the Torah mitzvahs, which means that the Torah mitzvahs as well are elevated on high, and that comes through Ava v'Yira. That comes through love and fear. Will become again the wings which elevate the Torah mitzvahs closer to within HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is understood. Now, before we just begin, if you remember that we skipped a few lines over here, which we try to make this again, this whole class, and complete. Meaning to say the whole shir, and again the Tanya, we tried not to miss out anything. And so when last week, if you remember, those of you who watched participated in last week's class, and those of you who watched last week's class, you noticed in order to get a flow, we just skipped a few lines over here, and we said that that when you learn Torah, so quite on the contrary, the Torah transforms the energy of Klipas Nega to Taiv, as opposed to when someone speaks Dvarim B'Telim, idle talk. So basically what Alter Rebbe is saying, that it's not that without Ava Yira it remains like any other talk. When you learn Torah, it remains like any talking anything else. No. It says that in the end of the day, because this world is a world which by definition, what is dominant in this world before the Yid, pre-Avodah of the Yid, is the Klipas Nega, is the energy of Klipas Nega. In other words, that the energy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is concealed, withdrawn time and again, till it invests into the husk of Klipas Nega, and it's filtered through Klipas Nega, and that's the reason, simple reason why in Elam Hazeh, despite that in the end of the day it's all about Hashem. Hashem is everything, and everything is Hashem, but the Elam Hazeh itself does not demonstrate it on its own. The texture of Elam Hazeh doesn't scream Elam Levadei. How do we know that? We don't have to find out in Sfarim. Why not? Because this is what it is. You wake up in the morning, the Welt, the world on its own doesn't scream the Ein Elam, doesn't demonstrate and protest Ein Elam Levadei. Quite on the contrary, it says anything else. It says more Aniva Atzi Eid, like the Lashon attributed to Pare. It's about me. Avodas Hashem. Through Avodah, though, the person is Megala. He reveals through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs and toiling. Avodas Hashem. He takes off the different layers which cover up, which clips this Emes Hashem. And he brings the Emes Hashem La'elam. He's Megala Elokus. He's Megala the Elokus, the Emes of Hashem La'elam. And again, within Elam itself, again, but that comes through via Avodah. So, therefore, it's important again to have the Ava Yira, which takes the Torah mitzvahs to a world which there is Gilui Lukus, where there's revelation of godliness, which is again the world of Yitzira and more so Nelam Abriya. Again, these are, you learned in the previous class, it's very easy to follow these words. But in order to get to that, to Oisfir, which means to that conclusion, we just skipped a few lines over here. And so with Alter Rebbe, if you want to go back to page 198, 108, if you want to go back to page 108, which is just the opposite side of what we're learning, so we just to fill in those words, it says over here that the Eibishter is called the after less, hold on a second, after less asar ponim minei. So he was speaking about how everything is filtered through the filter of Klipas Nega, but he says, yeah, there's no question, less asar ponim minei. It doesn't change the fact that there's no domain which is ponui. Doesn't change the fact that there's no domain which is devoid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Less asar ponim minei. There's no place which is devoid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mikol mokim. Iu stimu dechol stimun. Hashem is called stimu dechol stimun. Dechol stimun, which means even, literally we translate it, hidden among all hiddenness, if you will, which means the Kodesh Baruch Hu is very mustar oche nato kil mistater. The Eibishter is a kil which is mistater, misalim, in ways that sometimes we don't find him. We can't see him. He's not manifest again, I would say pre-Avodah or the healthy relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which then HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to come begilui in a manifest state to the individual, to Klal Yisrael. We're coming up to the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakel nהיה b'dvari. What was the word Megillah? There was a Helen Hester. The Gemara says, Esther min ha-Torah minayin, v'anechi Aster Aster. Hashem could, Ch'mana Litzlan, over history, collectively, in all of Am Yisrael. In different periods in the time, in the last 3,300 years of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, via his Torah and mitzvahs, via the great Yetzias Mitzrayim, which culminated by Matan Torah, Panim V'Panim Diber Hashem Imachem, and this whole odyssey of this 3,300 years, of the whole stretch of this relationship of this 3,300 years, with certain times when the Eibishter was muster. And again, Esther min ha-Torah minayim, ha'nechi Aster Aster Panim. The Eibishter says there could be, the Eibishter is a Ch'mana Litzlan, it could be a state of stimin dechol stimin. Hester among Esther, actually, the word of the Baal Shem Tov, famous word of the Baal Shem Tov. Why does Torah say ha'nechi Aster Aster? Why double lashon? Because sometimes the Seiser is itself the Seiser, which means the worst case scenario is the person doesn't even know that it's dark. get used to darkness. Get used to darkness as well. As you're uncomfortable with darkness, at least you know it's a seiser. It's dark, it's a tegnish, spiritually, materially, so you're looking to creep out of the darkness. But if the seiser itself is hastir, then there's the adadafim shenhavim greiser rachmanis. Here we need a new rachmanis in order to the neshama of the yid to realize that the matzav tegnish, the state is no good. Or the famous lashon of the Navi, samim cheshech la'er. You take dark scenarios, dark states, and you classify them as lichtikai. Rachmana litzlan ve'rachmana litzlan. That's the ha'astir, astir. The seiser itself is behester. Al derech zeh, it's in Megillas Esther, it says, v'layla hu nodada shnas HaMelech. Like it says, not only shnas HaMelech of Melech HaChashverosh, but nodada malki shalom. That's one of the opinions of of the famous argument in Megillah. Where do you begin the Megillah from? Nodada shnas HaMelech, it's referring to malki shalom. There was the Gilui, the Eibishter came out of his sleep and slumber, and he was ready to reveal himself, and so he did. Eliminated Haman and Benafich, Shalish L'to Yehudim Hema B'Seineim. That Yidden were dominating their enemies, and again everything was completely transformed because HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself, came out of the state of Seiser or steaming to a state of Gilui. So that's what he says. True, there's no place which is devoid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no domain devoid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but nonetheless he's still called Steam with the whole steaming. That's the nature of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's called Kel Mistater, like it says, Ochinato Kel Mistater. You're a God which is concealed, stands in a state of hiding. Yeshiv b'Seiser Elyon, in the supreme Seiser, hiding state. And the Gemara is Bashtas Achayim and Baruch Mistateres Levushim Mesachim Rabim, and even this, which the light and the energy, because in the end of the day, there's no other light and energy coming from other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even this, which comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, also conceals itself in different garments and different partitions and different cover-ups, vatsumim, and intense levushim, intense mesachim. Till it comes till it invests in that husk of nega, klipas nega, like we said. Masha Enkein, and again, everything receives its chayis ultimately through that channel, through that funnel of klipas nega, as opposed to, and that's why again when a person speaks Eisius dvarim b'teilim, idle talk, and as we said last week here, the Alter Rebbe said this is part of the klipas nega. In other words, this is covers up of the emes Hashem, of the pnimis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, pnimis ritzayni, of the pnimis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the emes Hashem, and more so we say one adds, if he lives a life without the content of Torah mitzvahs, without meaning, without content, without purpose, without goal, without objective, again aligned with Torah mitzvahs, so then he increases into the helm, in the hester of the husk of, in other words, he expands the husk of klipas nega, which hides HaKadosh Baruch Hu even more, as opposed to Masha'enkin Mesis HaKadosh Shall Divrei Torah Tefillah, as opposed to holy letters of words of Torah and Tefillah, words of prayer, words of learning of Torah, words of prayer. The Adrabah, quite on the contrary, that moment, Klipas Nega, Mishapeches L'Torah, when he learns Torah, or he davens, then Klipas Nega is being transformed into goodness, meaning to say into the Pnim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which allows the Pnim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to reveal itself in Nichlelas B'Kedusha Zu, and it's consumed and it becomes part of this holiness, the holiness which inherently exists in the Eisiyas HaTorah, which inherently exists in the Eisiyas HaTefillah. And here the Alter Rebbe goes back to where we picked up last week. Nonetheless, the Ha'ara remains. For the Ha'ara, the light and the energy from this Kedusha still remains mitzumtzam, remains condensed and concealed and withdrawn, because in the end of the day, the person who's learning the Torah is physical. The Kail is a Kail Gashmi. The Dibur is a Dibur Gashmi. The voice, the speech is Gashmi, and therefore it's important to do this same Torah, learn the same Torah with Ava V'Yira, with love and fear, which elevates the Torah Tefillah to a world where there is godly revelation, which is the world of Yitzirah, namely Elam Abriya. And again, as we continued and came up to the point where we're actually holding this week, So again, we just wanted to fill in. It shouldn't have any chisaron over here in the last week's class. And then again, if you find it and you look in next week's class, and again I repeat this, this here you can find it easily on this website, but from the koshertube.com, but in the Tanya Online there was a bit of interruption over here, but you'll be able to, in the next few days you could be up and running, Be'ezus Hashem, to be able to find it and see where this fits in to this which we learned last week. But we continue, Vazeh Yuvad, today's class, Vazeh Yuvad. And with this it's understood, hated thoroughly, how Yira and Ava, Tchilo is called Yira, Rechimo is called Ava, Nikraim are called Gatfin, are called wings, which, as we said, this elevates the Torah mitzvahs and high, similar to the wings which allow the bird, which is the goof of the goof of the bird to ascend, to elevate, to soar on high, to fly on high. It says Derech Mashal, similarly, Nikraim Gatfin Derech Mashal. It's called, again, metaphorically, it's called wings. Like it says, V'shtayim Ya'efif. With the two, it would fly, and this Shtayim in the pasuk is referring to Av V'Yira. One of the Perushim is referring to Av V'Yira. One of the interpretations of the Shtayim Ya'efif is, or the Lashon is referring to the Malachim. That with its two wings it ascends. Chaim Vital, again, a favorite student of the Arizal, writes in his Shara Yechudim, in the portal of Yechudim Perik Yud Aleph, in the 11th chapter, Shaknafayim Ba'if, in Zreis Ha'adam, that the wings by a bird correspond to the hands of man, which in the hands of man you have the right, the left, as it's known, chesed drei yimina, gvura drei smala. That's a lashon that there's chesed is the right arm, and the gvura is associated with the left arm. Doesn't mean physically, but it's the right and the left. One is chesed. We know chesed is to the right, gvura is to the left. Chesed is synonymous with ava, as it's known, love. Actually, the chesed is and also an expression of wanting to get close to share, to do kindness, to exude feeling of connection. Again, all in the spirit of chesed, in the spirit of kindness, while gvura is discipline, severity, and so on. We could perfectly appreciate why that is associated with yira, fear, awe, and so on. So it says there that the birds, and the bird's wings, which we know the bird doesn't have hands, so the bird's wings correspond to the hands of man. The B'tikunim Pirush, and in Tikunim, which is again a part of Zayar, explains and those who occupy themselves with learning Torah and doing mitzvahs with fear and love, they're called bonim, they're called children. V'imlav, and if they do it, they learn Torah and do mitzvahs without fear and love, nikroim efreichim leyochlu leparcha, they're called birds, chicks, which cannot fly. And he goes on again. By now we should perfectly understand why so. But as he goes on over here, just like the birds, the wings rather, of the bird, einam ikir ha'eif. It's not the important part of the bird. Ve'ein chayusei toli bahem, and its life and its existence is not dependent on its wings. Klal at all, kedetan, like we learned in the Mishnah, that nitlu agapel kshedo, that if the wings, the bird's wings were taken away, were pulled out, as long as it didn't puncture any internal limb or organ, the bird remains kosher. And again, this is in the context of treifas, that we know that there is, even before one slaughters the animal, does shchita, the ritual slaughter, and then it's still, the behema, the animal, or the bird, the chicken, has to be complete, health-wise. There shouldn't be any fracture. in any of its important limbs. And again, this is where all the halachas of treifa says what is considered treifa, what is considered not treifa. In other words, even you're going to go ahead after and slaughter with the ritual slaughtering with shechita, if it wasn't a complete animal or bird, it renders it to be treif. In other words, it remains treif. You're not allowed to eat it. It's prohibited to eat. So when the halacha deals with the bird and says, what if the bird's wings were pulled out? Is the bird kosher or treif? So the Mishnah says that nitla gapel ksheira, it remains kosher. What does that say? That the main part of the bird is the structure of the bird, and the whole and va'ikir hu reishi v'chol gufi. The main part of the bird is its head and its entire body. V'aknofayim and the wings. Einam rak mishamshim l'reishi v'gufi l'porcho b'hain. It just serves the purpose for this head and the body of the bird to fly on high with it. In other words, if it was mamish part of the body, so if you took it or you removed, if you tampered with the lungs or the liver or any other important part of the body, or even an external part of the body, which again in Hilchas Treifus you find a certain halacha, there's certain parts of the body that if it's removed, it's treif. And again, even before slaughtering it, it's already rendered, it's already established that it's treif, that you're not allowed eating it. So if the wings were a part, again from the halacha perspective, and this is again the basis of the Mishnah, that if the wings were part of the bird, and an essential part of the bird, obviously if you cut away the wings, the bird would be treif. You wouldn't be able to have the bird, again, even go ahead and slaughter the bird. And on the onset it would have been treif. The fact that you see the halacha is again the Mishnah Paskins, that the Mishnah states, and again this is the Psak halacha, this is the verdict that if the bird's wings were carefully taken out, meaning that you were able to take out the bird's wings, I just say carefully because if you puncture naturally a certain other part of a vital limb or organ, obviously it'll be treif because of the perforation or anything you ruined as a result or by taking out the wings. But if you have the ability, again, if you take out the wings without damaging the body of the bird remains kosher and you can move on with the shechita, and then eventually you could eat the meat of the bird or the chicken. That itself shows that the knafayim, the wings, are not essentially a part of the bird. It's a part of the bird, but it's not part of the ikir chayis of the bird. The main part of the bird is the head and its body. And again, if not, it wouldn't be kosher. So that is, and the whole purpose of the birds, the wings of the bird, is just to take that which is the most important and allow it to ascend on high. So too, when it comes to in the nimshal, in the message here, this is a metaphor the way it is in the nimshal again. When in our case, referring to the Torah mitzvahs, the Torah, what a person learns in the mitzvahs, what he performs, and then the Ava v'yira, the love and fear with which he performs his Torah mitzvahs, means with which he performs the complete doing Hashem's mitzvahs, and with which he learns Torah, and with which he davens. At the end of the day, it's about the Torah mitzvahs. In other words, it's just like we say, it's the head and the body of the bird that's the most important part. We could perfectly appreciate it. It's a matter as Elikim Yirav, it's mitzvahs of Shmeir. It's about serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's about learning Torah. It's about going to a shir. It's about going to minyan. It's about davening. It's about doing the mitzvah, shaking the luv and esrei, putting on the tefillin, putting on the mezuzah. That is what it says in the Torah. Even though Havaviyat is also part of the 613 mitzvahs. But nonetheless, what is the ikir? The ikir is the guf, and the ikir is the reish. Which means it's about limud ha-Torah and kima mitzvahs. The whole point of Havaviyat, that a person serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not only learns Torah. Again, without Havaviyat, which you could perfectly understand what he's learning, and learn many, many hours, which every daf and every actually line in Torah, every word in Torah, is on its own inherently Kaddish, because there you have the Kedushas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Anechi Hashem Lekech is invested in every word in Torah. So because, in other words, Torah is the Ikir Kedusha, and mitzvahs are the Evarim, the Malka, remain the limbs of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Lulav and Esther, even if you don't do it with Havaviyat. It is inherently Kaddish and inherently a Ever of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is a mitzvah sai. And a person has to make sure to do the mitzvahs, and to do the mitzvahs carefully and scrupulously, not only mitzvahs say, mitzvahs leisa, because this is the guf, the ikir chayis, again, because this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wrote in his Torah, that you should learn es chukesei tishmeru, es chukesei telech v'es mitzvahs tishmeru. You be amelim b'Torah and be very careful of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's mitzvahs. But nonetheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself established the Abba V'Yira, and again it becomes part of the 613 mitzvahs, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself wants that the Torah mitzvahs should not remain on ground level. The Torah mitzvahs should be able to soar on high. That it should come and ascend to at least Eilam HaYetzirah, even better, even Eilam HaBriah. And again, all this closer within HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which allows that flow of positive energy from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Yid, and again, the back and forth, like in every relationship. That's what he says. So too, the main supreme union with HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes by the actual learning Torah and fulfilling Hashem's mitzvahs. Through the revelation of the supreme desire of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we learn to Hu Ritzeini Echad, HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His Ratzon are one. The Yichud, the union of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the supreme union of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, again with Eilamis and with the Yid, and again in so many different levels, which comes through the revelation of the Ratzon HaElyon. Why is the Ratzon HaElyon, the supreme Ratzon, revealed when he does a mitzvah? Because the mitzvah is Ratzon HaElyon, fulfilling Hashem's supreme desire. So Hashem's supreme desire stands at full state of manifestation. Mizgal al Yedein, which is revealed through the learning Torah and through the mitzvahs. And the Yira and Ava, Mailin Eison, elevate them, referring to the Torah mitzvahs, Lamokim Shizgala Beirotza Rotzain, to the place where the Ratzon HaElyon stands in full state of manifestation, which is again the supreme worlds of Yetzirah and Eilam HaBriah, as we said, as opposed to the way it is in Eilam HaSiyah. If it doesn't move off ground level, Taki did the Torah, Taki did the mitzvahs, and the Ratzon HaElyon is Mizgala, and you cause the Yichud Elyon, the supreme union with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with your Neshama and with Eilamis and so on, as explained in a number of places, what this Yichud, the supreme Yichud, consists of. But generally it's the union of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Kedusha, of Mailo and Mato, the supreme, the sublime, and the inferior. That is again the Yichud, which the union which is accomplished through the Yid's learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, because this is Haratzin HaElyon, inherently the will of Hashem, and therefore through the learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, it's all happening. But nonetheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that this whole experience should be in a way that the Torah mitzvahs are elevated on high, meaning to say that it should be in a complete manifest manner, meaning to say that it should be obvious. Everything where this is happening should be in an obvious area, which is again, this is the place where there's Gilui Ratzon HaElyon. Not only Ratzon HaElyon, and not only the actual Yichud, but it could be where it has appeared, and where it is manifest, where it is revealed, and that's in the light, lichtige world of Eilam HaYetzirah, namely Eilam HaBriah. As opposed to if it remains in Eilam Hazeh, it's all happening, but you'd see nothing. It's similar like to someone has a home with $1 million worth of furniture, but if the lights are off, there's no appreciation. So someone's going to say there's no furniture, it's not worth $1 million. It's worth $1 million. It's be'etzem worth $1 million. The couch is a couch which costs so much and so much money, and the table and the chairs and every part of the home. And again, if you list for this furniture, it adds up to the same $1 million. But if it's pitch dark in the home, there's no benefit. No one could benefit from it, no form or fashion. It's important that the lights are on, and then you could appreciate. Again, the light did not cause this furniture to be worth $1 million. It's inherently worth $1 million, but you can't appreciate it if the lights are closed. The lights are on, then you appreciate something which again, which is ba'etzem on its own has that value. And so too, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that this whole Ratzon Elyon, which is actually unfolding when the person learns Torah mitzvahs, and there was the Yichud Elyon, this supreme Yichud, and the revelation of Hashem's Ratzon it all unfolds when you learn Torah mitzvahs, because that's the main thing. This is what Hashem wrote in His Torah. To learn Torah and do mitzvahs. That's what you were created for. But nonetheless, the Eibishter wants that there should that the Torah mitzvahs, in other words, the guf and the reish of the eif, similar to the guf and the reish of eif, of the bird, should also ascend on high to where? To a place where the lights are on. We want to say it, if you will, which is Nelma Yitzir and Nelma Beriah. Again and again, as we explained with the Torah mitzvahs through Avivira, to where what level it is elevated in the previous classes. My life on the makom shemizgal be'erin Tzav Baruch Hu, to the place where the Ratzon and the Erin Tzav Baruch Hu is revealed, and where the Yichud is revealed, where the union is revealed. Shehein, which again, these are the world of Yitzir and Bria. Which are the world again of Yitzir and Bria, depending on with what type of Tchilur Chimu the person, with what type of Yirav Av the person serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's learning his Torah and doing mitzvahs of Avivira Tivis. Nor Aviyira should be talumish with the inherent Aviyira, as opposed to the passion of Aviyira. Again, as we elaborated on Barichos in length and much elaboration in the previous chapters. Here the Alter Rebbe, let's see if we can maybe finish the Perek today, my friends. So here the Alter Rebbe goes on. He says, "V'na'aftet chilur chimu, hem gam kimetayag mitzvahs." Even though Aviyira is also part of the 613 mitzvahs, and what's the Alter Rebbe asking? I'll appreciate what the Alter Rebbe is asking, because in the end of the day, you say that the Torah mitzvahs are similar to the bird itself, to the Iker Chayz, the Iker energy. And the Iker over here, the main part is the bird, its head and so on, and the wings are just there to take the bird, to allow the bird to soar on high, to ascend on high. So too, the main thing is the Torah mitzvahs. Why is that the main thing? That's right, for every obvious reason. Because this is what Hashem prescribed for us in His Torah. As Chukaisai Teilechuvitz Mitzvahs Tishmei, to learn Torah and do mitzvahs. And again, one pasuk out of tens and hundreds of psukim. And Torah itemizes again clearly what the 613 mitzvahs consist of. So that becomes inherently the guf, the main part, the Iker HaChayz, is obviously the Torah mitzvahs, because that's the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So this is what we ought to do. And again, it's divided into 613 mitzvahs, the 248 mitzvahs say positive mitzvahs, and 365 negative mitzvahs, as Hashem says that we do not do. So, and the Avivira is just again the wings which hook on, so to say, to Torah mitzvahs to bring it on high. But no, where does Avivira? We know are part of that 613 mitzvahs. It's not the 613 mitzvahs plus Avivira plus love and fear, which would say the Torah mitzvahs is the guf, is the ikir, and the Avivira is just to bring the Torah mitzvahs on high. Avivira is part of the 613. Without Avivira, we only have 611. So it becomes part of the guf adam. So why do we kind of separate the two? So the Alter Rebbe says, true, it's part of the Torah mitzvahs, but yet it doesn't take away the fact that in the end of the day, in the constitution of Torah mitzvahs, this Avivira, these two mitzvahs, remain classified as wings which are there to elevate the Torah mitzvahs on high. And this is what he says, even though Aviyira are part of the 613 mitzvahs, they remain to be called wings liyes. Because the ultimate purpose of loving Hashem is the Avodah Mi'avo, which means in the very setup when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, not just love, I love you Hashem. You know, those people you want to ask them, could you put on tefillin? I love Hashem without tefillin. You don't love Hashem. Loving yourself, but besides, but it's all interconnected over here. In the end of the day, if you don't want to follow what Hashem wants, so who are you loving? But look at someone who has a genuine approach to the mitzvah, and he says, "What are you talking about? It says to put on tefillin, not put on tefillin." It's a separate mitzvah. What if you're loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I don't have time for tefillin because I'm just in the middle of experiencing a fiery, passionate love with Hashem. No tefillin today. Tomorrow I'll do the tefillin. Tomorrow I'll do that mitzvah. Today it's just love. So again, even you're running innocent, say, no, the pasuk is Hashem Lekeh. But we know that's nonsense. Because when Eibush says V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, what does it say in that very chapter? That the Ava V'Yira is about Avodah Mi'ava, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mi'ava. Learn Torah, Shanechi Mitzav Chayim, and that should be Al Vavecha, Mishinantam Levanecha. And in the same chapter it says, Ukshantam Leisa Yadecha, V'Tavis Beninecha, put on the tefillin, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is alluding to in the small little parsha of V'ahavta as an example, that your Ava is not about, I love you Hashem, I'm crazy over you Hashem, I'm in love with you, and then sit on a mountain, secluded in a mountaintop, and experience your love and intimacy with HaKadosh Baruch Hu by any way of prayer or whatever it is, your type of expressing your love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's not what the V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha is all about. The V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha is about Avodah Mi'ava. And again, you can see it, by the way, in every relationship. In every relationship. There has to, obviously it's important that it's infused with passion. And every relationship there is passion in any friendship, but yet it should never, not only it should never jeopardize, the other party has to know that you're always there for them in this which they actually need and is important and is vital for them. It's suffused with love. But if you separate the two, it's pointless. And the same thing when it comes to Ava. True Ava is one of the 613 mitzvahs, but Tachlis Ava is Aveda Mi'ava, serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu with love. Which means the service itself, again, remaining. With that tells us again the service remains the body, the important part. Well, the Ava is about ascend, bringing the guf of Torah mitzvahs on high. The Ava bli Aveda, loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu without serving, that's Ava b'tanugim. It's a pleasurable love. Lisanig al Hashem ein elam haba, to derive pleasure of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, similar to elam haba. We know in elam haba is not about service, it's about kabbalah. In other words, it's about HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitaneg im neshamot. The Eibishter is misaneg with neshamas, connects to the neshamas in a very pleasurable, intimate manner. That is elam haba. There is the lack of, there's no avoid anymore. Or adam is a kabbalah saschar. The Kabbalah Schar, receiving reward, that's Me'ein Elam Haba, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Again, if it's Gan Eden, if it's Yemei Mashiach or Tchis HaMeisim or El Fashvi, and that's already that intimate connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, devoid of Aveda. And again, how it unfolds, Yemei Mashiach and Tchis HaMeisim and El Fashvi, it's a separate topic. How, again, if there is Aveda, then, and it says in a number of places, things will come natural, be lacking the Aveda. But let's talk about the Gan Eden, for example. Gan Eden, there's no more Aveda. That's why it says in this world, it's like a wedding, grab chapun, es, chapun, drink, grab and eat, grab and drink, because this is where you can put on tefillin, this is where you can put up mezuzah, this is where you could shake a little vanessa, this is where you can learn Torah, and the way Torah is meant to be learned in Elam Haza. Because this is a world of Hayim Laseisim, this is a world we do, we receive a reward, because there the Aveda is removed. And there it's only about the intimate experience of, again, an emotional, sentimental level with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he says, and therefore we should not exchange this experience of Gan Eden to the way things ought to be in Elam Haza. When Eibush says V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, he's not telling you go into this Gan Eden mode. Yes, you can, but it always has to be hooked on to the actual Torah mitzvahs. Putting on tefillin, you love Hashem, learn more Torah. You love Hashem, learn another Lilmud Torah Harbe, like Lashon earlier in the Alter Rebbe, Perek Chafei, Lamed. Because it always has to be connected to the actual Avodas Hashem. Invest more in your prayer, in a nicer Esther, in a nicer pair of tefillin. And the Ava is always associated with Aveda. Ava b'li Aveda, that's Ava b'tanugim, the pleasurable love, to derive pleasure, Lisanig al Hashem, derive pleasure. And the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Me'ein Elam Haba, similar to the experience of the world to come, the Kabbalah Schar, receiving reward within, in this spaceship. It just disconnects from a certain part of the two parts disconnected, a certain atmosphere, and that's what Elam Haba. It's already Kabbalah Schar. In this world, the Ava has to be always connected to Aveda. That's what he says. The pasuk says, "Hayom lasei." So today, it's about doing lamachar again, which we derive from the lamachar, the next experience in Elam Haba, or the different stages again collectively. But in the next experience in Elam Haba is lakabel scharim, to receive its reward, or me the reward, and not to mix the two. And therefore, again, the Abu Yivira remains. And together with being part of the Tayag Mitzvah Torah, one of the 613 mitzvahs, or again, two of the 613 Torah mitzvahs, they, by classification of these mitzvahs, they remain gatfin, they remain wings. Their purpose, again, is to take the goof of Torah mitzvahs and bring them on high. And someone who did not reach this midah, lite me'ein elam haba, to taste the me'ein elam haba, means to say, to connect the Ava with the actual Torah mitzvahs which Hashem gave us. His soul is yearning and thirsty to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he has this all constant desire to consume into the Ein Sof of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he doesn't quench his thirst with the waters of Torah which exists in front of him. Ein mayim ela Torah, like someone who's very thirsty to something, you quench your thirst with water. However, and in this case as well, someone whose soul is thirsty and yearning and wants to be consumed to the Ein Sof, which means he has a tzimoyin, saman avshi lelikim, but he disconnects it with Avodas Hashem. He's not ready to quench his thirst by opening a Gemara or any Inyan in Torah and learning. Like someone is standing by a water, a river, v'tzeik mayim mayim, lishtes, water, water, I want to drink, which is foolish. You're thirsty, you're standing in front of the river, bend down and take a cup and start drinking. The water will quench your thirst. So what is this supposed to mean? Like the Navi complains and laments and says, Hoi kol tzoma l'chulamayim. If you're thirsty, the Navi protests, go to water. What is Navi saying over here? Obviously everybody's thirsty. Someone's thirsty, goes to water. The Navi is referring to this type of yid. He wants to experience Elam Haba and Elam Hazeh, to disconnect the actual Avodas Hashem with his sentimental, emotional experience. It is crucial, and this is what the Navi says, be careful. Don't let there be a misconception when you read the pasuk V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. Yes, Hashem wants a loving relationship with him. Yes, Hashem wants a feeling of yirah from him, awe, reverence of him. And the ultimately Hashem wants the relationship should be on intimate levels, profound, intimate levels, true. But make no mistake, it can never be devoid of Avodas Hashem. Hoi kol tzoma. If you're thirsty, and again you're talking about a yid, and a genuine yid, which not chas v'sholom he has a problem learning Torah. He knows that Torah is Torah Hashem, and he knows a mitzvah, and he would cherish a mitzvah, he would cherish limud Torah, but he goes into these even holy moods, let's call them, that he knows that David is V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, and as the Rambam says, a person could really have a true passion and love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, the Rambam, the Torah says about Hashem, the Rambam explains, and namely when one learns Pnimis HaTorah, he's mizbein in Gadlus Hashem in a very honest manner. He could truly, he should, and he could truly arouse a true la'ava to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a most profound level. And again, establish in himself a true feeling for intimacy with his Creator. It's all doable. But the Navi says, at that point, understand that as long as you're in this world is about Hayom Lasei. I mean, the Eibush does want our intimate relationship, but he always wanted to be hooked on to Avodah. Ava, when I tell you the Eibush V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, it's Avodah mi'ava. Learning Torah mi'ava. And doing mitzvahs mi'ava. So if you came out of a good davening, and you exercise, and it's a good davening, it's not the shaklerai, and it's not the external, and some of it is sometimes nonsense, it's just that the ability to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu on intimate level, especially if the person climbs a ladder in davening through Birchas Krishma and Shemini Esrei, really is about Baruch Atah Hashem, standing face to face with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the climax of davening, and which is the ability the person should connect to Kodesh Baruch on an intimate level, and he has, in other words, he exercises a true healthy davening, and again it arouses Siman LaKodesh Baruch Hu. You're done davening, jump to Inyan and Teda. So it's a whole healthy Yidden. Always, again, this is based on the Gemara and Brachas. So it's not just a hero and basic. This should be the natural state and the natural result consequent to a healthy davening should be a jump into Limud HaTorah. And again, if someone exercises a healthy davening, you see the Limud HaTorah after davening is a different quality living in Limud HaTorah, because in the end of the day, the Limud HaTorah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you have such a tzimoin to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, connect with Him in a way that where it is part of the Olam experience, again, from davening to Limud HaTorah to Hanegim to find God where He is as well in the Torah, or the core essence of a Kodesh Baruch Hu ultimately is in Torah. So if you're thirsty, if Tefillah brought out that tzimoin, that thirst and that yearning to a Kodesh Baruch Hu, jump and learn Torah. You will notice again the Torah following davening is a different quality type of Torah. And a person really exercises a healthy davening, he could feel how Torah quenches his thirst. A Mishnah, a Gemara, whatever Indian again associated with Torah, Seina Akdesha. But why would the Navi have to tell it to us? Because sometimes there could be a misunderstanding, it could be a sense of ambiguity in this matter. And even someone who's looking for the truth, that he's an honest person, he's an honest Eved Hashem, and he does arouse. And Hashem says, you can't find, again, you can find, and I want you to establish a very sentimental relationship with me. And again, the sentimental relationship can go to very, very extreme, profound, intimate levels in this relationship. And Hashem says, I want that. But this sense of ambiguity, what the Navi is referring to, is that the person could feel to find the tainug of Elokus again in the Ava as a result of this love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Navi says, my friend, in Elam Haza, you're bought to connect it to learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. On the simple level, in a movement it's not understood. Someone who is thirsty and desires to learn Torah, he'll learn on his own. Why would the Navi have to shout and protest? If you're thirsty, go to water. In other words, if it's a matter of the thirst of the Yid as to Torah, the Navi wouldn't have to tell him, you're thirsty to Torah, go learn Torah, open a Gemara and learn Torah, open a Shulchan Aruch and learn Torah. Or any other sefer associated with Torah Seina Akdesha. Obviously, it would be like it's explained elsewhere. Barichos, meaning to say that the message with the Navi is referring to the Yid, which is not necessarily he's looking for the Gemara. He's someone who has established a true sentimental and intimate relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he wants to remain there. Just the Ava should be, again, for the sake of Ava, without the Limud HaTorah Kima Mitzvahs. There the Navi says, in this world, remember, my friend, in this world, it's not about at least Anigal Hashem, again, devoid of Ta'aveda, devoid of learning Torah. He called Sama, Bizdarshtik, again, you're thirsty to Elokus. You expressed, you fulfilled the mitzvah of Ahavtas Hashem Alekecha thoroughly, a true Ava. Again, Nishki Gemachta Ava, which we shouldn't even take a moment over here, even to negate some nonsensical type of Avas Hashem with people. It's not a badge, it's a true level that a person, a heart expression, like you love or you're in love with anything or anybody else. You're in love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's shaykh, it's attainable, and you fulfill the mitzvah of Ahavtas Hashem Alekecha. The Navi says, in this world, Haikol Tzama, you arouse the genuine and holy and true divine thirst and yearn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In this world, Chulamayim has to be connected to Aveda. Go learn Torah, open a sefer in Torah, and learn Torah. And so to do a mitzvah. So what are we getting at over here? We're getting at, in the end of the day, even Ava V'yira is part of the 613 mitzvahs, again, which will become the guf and the reish, similar to the Eikut, or the Iker, and the Iker Chayis, again, within Torah mitzvahs. Yet, by definition, of Ava V'Yira, even again prescribed by Torah, that it's about Ava. Again, we just pointed out in the same parsha, which refers to Limud Torah, which refers to Kima Mitzvahs, because in Eilam Hazeh, every Ava is about Aveda mi'Ava, not Ava without Aveda. So therefore, again, Ava by definition remains the Gatzin, remains wings. And again, so there's the Gufa Adam, which is the Gufa Eif, rather, which is the Limud Torah and the Kima Mitzvahs, all of them are 111 mitzvahs, while Ava V'Yira is part of, as much as they're part of Torah mitzvahs, in the end they're classified and defined as wings, which will bring the Torah mitzvahs on high to the place where there's Gilui Ratzon Ha'elyon, which is Eilam HaYetzira, and namely, even more so, Eilam HaBriya, like we elaborated in the previous classes. Have a wonderful evening.